Thank you for watching this seminar on 5 common conveyancing assumptions that are made by clients. And I think the problem is that generally everyone thinks everything's straightforward and surely someone sorted that out. It must be easy and you've done it lots of times. So what's the problem? But we're going to look at a number of things. First of all, boundaries and the horror that the land registry red line has never ever shown you where your legal boundary is. Then we're going to look at some of the problems of environmental issues because everybody thinks that getting a big green tick on the on the environmental search saying, yes, it is not contaminated land means that there are no environmental issues. And we'll look at the problems of false negatives because sadly, it's not quite as straightforward as you might think. We'll also look at climate change and sustainable drainage, which is very much a problem at the moment. Then we will look at completion notices, which again, people think, oh, a notice to complete will surely make people complete. No, it has absolutely no effect in that way at all. And in fact, it can in fact boomerang back and cause you a problem. Then we'll look at title insurance and other issues which arise, and everyone thinks, oh, we can just get title insurance for it. And it actually often doesn't solve any problems whatsoever. The problem is just as likely to happen, and it is still there. And then finally, we'll look at the SDLT four-letter word and the problem that many solicitors, residential and commercial, have been pretty negligent for about the last 20 years, sadly. And unfortunately, the cases are starting to come through. So that's an overview. First of all, we're going to look at the land registry's red line. And I want you to stare at this screen until it is absolutely ingrained in your mind that the red line is not the legal boundary. And the clients say, well, surely, what's all the fuss about? Surely, how could it be anything else? What's the point of having a red line? Surely the land registry is there to register land and there's a red line, so what's all the problem? And in fact, it's not quite as straightforward as that. And the red line was never, ever intended to be the boundary. And that's because we didn't use the continental cadastral system and decided deliberately in 1925 to have a general boundary rule. And this was made even worse in 2002 when they abolished charge certificates and land certificates, which meant that you could throw them away. However, many solicitors around the country thought that that meant that they could throw away the deeds as well. And that was an absolute disaster in the making, because of course the whole point of land registration was that it was a general boundary and that the actual boundary would be resolved by looking at what was physically on the ground and also looking at the pre-registration deeds, but everyone's thrown them away.